Hello, Bond fans, and welcome once again. If you asked an average moviegoer sort of who the James Bond MI6 regulars were, I'm sure they'd come back with MQ, Moneypenny, but there's one member of the team who has become more prominent a lot recently that people tend to overlook.
Any Bond aficionado would be able to tell you that there's another forever underutilised member of Bond support, and that man is Bill Tanner. The MI6 Chief of Staff made very sparse appearances in the series until the Daniel Craig era, where he's now a bona fide regular. Rory Kinnear is probably the most identifiable actor who's ever inhabited the role, but how does he shape up against his predecessors, really?
Well, that's what we're going to be taking a look at today as we rank each and every MI6 Chief of Staff, starting at the very bottom of the list. Number 5.
Calthorpe, Chief of Staff.
There's really nothing to say about Michael Goodliffe's portrayal of Bill Tanner. I mean, there's nothing, at all, here. The actor was the first on-screen portrayal of M's Chief of Staff, and the role is completely thankless and without fanfare. Heck, Goodliffe wasn't even credited in the film's credits for the role, and it's not entirely clear why they felt the need to bring him in at all. He has a couple of lines of exposition, and that's it, and even then, the James Cousins character, Calthorpe, has more to say and do in the movie than Tanner.
I don't entirely know what the impulse was to even introduce the character in this film. I mean, it just seems like the screenwriter was like, well, we need more meat in the room to deliver this exposition. What names from the books do we have to work with? Okay, Tanner, right, Guy, you're Tanner. Number 4.
And 007, try not to muck it up again.
A much more prominent Tanner portrayal came in For Your Eyes Only, in which the character is covering for M, who is inexplicably on leave for some reason. In reality, of course, Bernard Lee had passed away after playing M in the previous 11 films, and the role was not immediately recast out of tribute to Lee, so all of his lines were given to Minister of Defence Freddie Gray, and Bill Tanner, played here by James Villiers.
James Villiers immediately trumps over Goodliffe because he actually has an opportunity to give the character a bit of character, given that he has a lot more screen time, but exactly what that character is isn't exactly terribly endearing.
I've seen James Villiers in a few films and TV shows like The Nanny and House of Cards, and in everything I've seen him in, he plays this same, foppish, plummy-voiced posho, and that's exactly how he plays Bill Tanner, and while he has some funny moments and lines, he's largely unlikable. I think his performance is more of a testament to the great work that Bernard Lee brought to the series, where he could deliver the exact same lines as Villiers delivers, but do it with some kind of grandfatherly warmth and not the resentment and disdain that Villiers brings.
Again, there isn't really much here to suggest that this is anything other than Tanner in name, but fortunately, starting with the character's next appearance, things start to improve. Number 3.
What the bloody hell was that?
Finally, in the chronology of the series, we had a good, likeable portrayal of Bill Tanner, who, from the Fleming books, is supposed to be as close to a friend that Bond gets in the Secret Service, and Kitchen brings a good deal of warmth and likability to the part, and has a nice chemistry with Brosnan that, you know what, yeah, I could see these two going for a round of golf and a pint when they're off duty. When he first appears in GoldenEye, it's a brief role, really very expository in the MI6 Situation Room, but he does set up Judi Dench's debut as M rather superbly.
Seems your hunch was right, 007. It's too bad the evil Queen of Numbers wouldn't let you play it.
You were saying?
Kitchen would again appear in The World Is Not Enough, and while he's certainly in more scenes than he is in GoldenEye, there's probably less opportunity for his personality to shine through, which is a shame. I love Michael Kitchen as an actor in pretty much everything I've ever seen him in. I wish he'd had the ability to be in a couple more movies and been given the opportunity to become more of a recognisable regular. But only one film after his debut, and he had his thunder well and truly stolen.
Number 2.
And the Thunder Thief in question is Colin Salmon. Yes, because of scheduling conflicts, Kitchen was unable to return to the series for Tomorrow Never Dies, so Tanner makes no appearance, and instead we have a new character, Charles Robinson. Technically, this list is a Bill Tanner ranking, but Robinson is pretty much Tanner in all but name.
He's M's chief of staff after all, but then hang on a minute, wait a minute, aren't both Robinson and Tanner in The World Is Not Enough together? Then does that mean that Robinson is Tanner's deputy? If anyone out there knows for sure exactly what the job roles of these guys are in The World Is Not Enough, then please do let me know. I'd love to understand. If for nothing else than just Tanner's own job security sake. Mom, I'm just on the MI6 bulletin board online now. Well, I'm just calling because I'm on the jobs section and I can't help but notice that there's an advert out for my position.
Regretting that evil queen of numbers remark yet?
The character appears in 3 Bond films, and very much performs the Bill Tanner role of hanging around at M's side and spouting out bits of exposition, so it's not just the entire scene of Judi Dench waffling on. I'm surprised that they went with someone as young as Colin Salmon for this kind of role, but I love that they did. There's only so many middle-aged guys in suits you can see before they all blur into one, but casting someone as young and, let's be honest, handsome as Salmon makes him stand out from the usual MI6 and government suits that populate the earlier chunks of Bond adventures. Colin Salmon is an actor with a great amount of screen presence. I wouldn't say that Charles Robinson is ever really given much of an opportunity to display much in the way of a character or personality, so an actor with the stature of Salmon is perfect in the role. Heck, Salmon for a while was touted as being a potential replacement for Pierce Brosnan in the role of Bond, but it's exactly this that prevents him from being number 1 on this list for me. As much as I love Colin Salmon, his chief of staff is just a bit too, well, badass. He feels more like an agent, and while I'm sure it's important for service staff to have some agent qualities regardless of role, I mean, God, Moneypenny can pack a punch, I'm sure, but this guy feels more like he should be side by side with Bond in the field instead of stuck behind some desk and facilitating other people's exotic trips to foreign lands to take out evildoers.
I like my MI6 chief of staff to be a little less actiony and a little more funny, which is where my number 1 choice comes in. Number 1.
Yes, easily the most identifiable actor in the role of Tanner, Rory Kinnear has occupied the role since Quantum of Solace and has actually been allowed to imbue the role with some personality and character to become an incredibly likeable addition to the cast. In an increasingly star-studded bunch of MI6 regulars, it would be hard for anyone to hold their own and attract attention away from the likes of Judi Dench and Ralph Fiennes, but Kinnear manages to do just that. Even if he still doesn't get to have his name on the sodding posters, come on! While I can't quite imagine Craig's Bond and Kinnear's Tanner being especially pally with each other, they still have a kind of interesting chemistry. I think this version of Tanner is more of an admirer of Bond than previous incarnations. Perhaps this is more of a byproduct of Craig's Bond being a much more isolated and less social character than the others. But while I don't think that Tanner necessarily has a 007 shrine in his home that he weeps in front of every night, and he does very much get pissed off by Bond every now and then, there are moments when he just has a look or facial expression that says so much, and I think this is the great thing about Kinnear. He has such an expressive face that even when the character is just largely spouting out a load of exposition, he manages to bring some character to it. My very favourite moment of Kinnear is in Skyfall, when he and Q are trying to figure out what Bond's doing with Judi Dench's M. This is just after Kinnear, albeit in a delayed fashion, saved M from Silver in what probably has been the most stressful day of his life, but also after Ralph Fiennes has come in and figured out how the group can be of most help to M, Kinnear gives him this look that just says so much. Up to this point in the film, we've been unsure of Mallory's intentions, and this is the moment for him to show us that he's very much on Bond's side, and it's specifically the visual of Kinnear's ever so slight smile, the look of respect, the look of, yeah, maybe this guy isn't all that bad, that truly lets us, the audience, know that he's okay. It's truly in that moment that the audience looks to Bill Tanner to know how to feel, and just a slightly wrong facial expression could have ruined the moment, but Kinnear nails it. I really hope we get to see more of Kinnear's Tanner in future installments. Heck, maybe he could even be the first Tanner to graduate to M. We'll see what the future holds for Kinnear and the character, but if the Brosnan and Craig eras have been anything to go by, Bill Tanner is very much here to stay. Thanks for watching, as always, Bond fans. Please let me know your own rankings in the comments below or over my Facebook and Twitter pages. Until next time, so long for now.